Good. Alrighty. So to provide some context about United Way and what we've been up to in the last 6 months or so, United Way of Lane County started 74 years ago, and our vision is to ensure that children in Lane County are successful in school and life, because when our children thrive, our community thrives. That vision has not changed, even now, although some of the barriers to success certainly have, or maybe they've been exacerbated, and we've had to pivot to provide more short and intermediate term support so that we can also achieve that long-term goal. We're focused on reaching 4 outcomes shown to strongly impact the health, education, and financial stability of families in order to ensure that kids are successful in school and life. And those outcomes are healthy and stable families, kindergarten readiness, elementary school success, specifically looking at important reading benchmarks, and lastly, youth pathways to safety, security, and purpose. And so all of the programs that we support are focused around those 4 outcomes. We work to achieve those outcomes in 4 ways, one of which, of course, being through the programmatic support and the workplace campaign. But first, we plan and assess. So we work to understand the needs in Lane County across all communities. We then work with our partners to develop plans to achieve our goals, which sets the stage for our investment priorities. Second, we raise funds and invest in the community. That's part of what we'll talk about today. We raise and invest millions of dollars across Lane County each year through workplace campaigns, individual donations, and grants. These funds go right back into our community to support high quality, effective programs that positively impact the lives of kids and families. We've also created a couple funds recently that are separate from our traditional programmatic support, which I will share with you momentarily. The third way we affect change is to mobilize people to action. We strive to inspire action through volunteerism, community engagement, and financial contributions. From nonprofits and government agencies to business leaders and community volunteers, we invite everyone to the table to work toward our shared vision of a community where all kids can be successful in school and life. And lastly, we measure results. We strive to provide accountability to our donors and our community by measuring and sharing the impact of our investments. I neglected to mention that this is within the first 3 or 4 pages of the workbook that I sent out yesterday. So if you're looking to circle back on this later, feel free. What is not in the book is our work in 2020. So in 2020, we have evolved and addressed needs greater than ever before, which I will give you a very quick recap of in the interest of time. Please follow up with us, staff members, as you build your campaign. We can share more details. As it became clear that the pandemic was going to have a huge toll on both community members and our local nonprofits, we knew that we had to reassess our traditional programmatic support of nonprofits. The first thing that we did was to embrace flexibility in how our current funded partners could use their grant funds. Starting in 2019, we initiated 2-year grants called Support Awards and 3-year grants called Transformation Awards. When you support United Way of Lane County or through the workplace campaign, these awards are traditionally what you're making possible. These grants are focused on the outcomes I mentioned previously, and they currently total $1 million a year. In response to the pandemic, we have unrestricted those grant funds, which allows our partners to prioritize the best possible uses of those resources. Next, we initiated the COVID-19 Relief Fund. This fund was completely separate from our traditional programmatic support and was initiated with the goal of getting funds to nonprofits in the health and human services field as fast as humanly possible. In the course of 2 months, through the trust and generosity of community members who entrusted us to get the funds out as soon as possible, but also through the volunteer power it took to review and approve those applications, we were able to distribute $300,000. Also knowing that food would be a huge issue, especially for school children who are no longer going to school, we invested $66,000 from that fund into summer food programs led by and serving marginalized communities. There was no application process to get that food, so it was a very low barrier program to get food out to those who needed it. After distributing that $366,000 through the spring, we established the Respond, Recover, Reimagine grant opportunity. Again, this was totally separate from our normal programmatic support. And this was for programs and initiatives meeting immediate needs and addressing systemic change, prioritizing organizations led by people of color, and working most directly with the communities they serve. Through this opportunity, we were able to move towards the future, working towards erasing inequities and helping all of us recover as a community together. Through that grant opportunity, we were able to distribute an additional $498,000. So on top of the $1 million that we distribute through our traditional funding, we were able to raise and distribute about $800,000 more to nonprofits in about 5 months. In addition, as we all know, over the last week, thousands have been displaced by wildfires across the state and hundreds of homes have been destroyed. In response, we established a wildfire relief fund, which has already been supported by many companies and individuals, including some of yours. In a week, I believe I know this number is inaccurate because I wrote it yesterday. Yesterday it was at $318,000. Christy, do you know offhand what we might be at right this second?
I think we may be at over 400,000 at this point. So it's been incredible and amazing to see the community continue to come forward.
Thank you for that. And yes, it has been absolutely incredible, the response that we have seen from the community. And we are distributing those funds immediately. The first round was announced yesterday, and the funds will continue to be distributed to nonprofits providing food, shelter, medical care, child care, among other important needs. These distribution processes, there have been a lot of them this year. They are a perfect example of the trust that the community has in us to bring together collaborative partners, plan cross-sector strategies, and mobilize people and resources. I'm particularly proud of our work at United Way because this all started while we were abandoning the office and moving to remote work, which we weren't ready for, but we made it happen. And although we were able to support our community in many ways, at the same time, the barriers facing families in Lane County will persist, so our work continues. Aside from charitable giving and volunteerism, we have also doubled down on our commitment to inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. We also recognize the need to address inequities both within our systems, but also in our communities. We have committed ourselves to the unending journey of educating ourselves and reviewing our work with an equity lens, but it is not enough to just look at what we're doing within the workplace. United Way of Lane County has taken a stance against racist power, and we have committed ourselves to being an anti-racist organization. We are dedicating time to educate ourselves and further our understanding as anti-racists so that we can be a better partner to our community. We are more deeply embedding equity at every level, from how we raise funds and how we invest them, to how we convene key players, to who has a space and voice at decision-making tables, to what stories we tell and how we tell them. This work is continuous. We can always learn more and influence change in the community, and we are proud to do so. So I know that was a ton of information to share. Like I said, please feel free to follow up with staff members as you have more questions. We hope to incorporate some of our work this year into presentations or however we can during the workplace campaign. Does anyone have any questions about what I've shared thus far? Sweet. In your workbook, you will see FAQs that there are 6 or 10 of them in here that talk about what a campaign can look like, how long do they normally run, will you have help? Absolutely. Please check them out, and if you have any questions, let us know. And now, I get to share why we're running a workplace campaign even this year. As we mentioned, 2020 has been a crazy year, and there's been a ton of work on everyone's part to respond and support those that have the greatest needs. So why this year? Well, like I mentioned, there is a lot of need. Could be your colleague, it could be family members, it could be you, it could be your neighbor that needs the help. And we do recognize that when we're out talking to people this year, that we will encounter people that are in need of services. And we want to be those people too. We want to be able to provide resources or point people in a direction so that we can be the best partner to you as possible. Other reasons for giving or running a workplace campaign in 2020 are because there are a lot of ways to give. Commonly, we talk about giving financially because that's what allows our programmatic work to continue. But volunteerism is a very powerful tool in how people give and is very common. This month we are running Days of Caring. That is still happening from September 24th through 26th. And yeah, the nonprofits that we partner with, they're still in need of that work, and it's a great way to give back, besides financially. There's also advocacy work. So even, so much as voting or encouraging other people to vote or just promoting the things that you're passionate about. There are so many ways to get involved in a cause that you are passionate about anymore. And we love to be a part of that. So certainly want to talk to you about what you're passionate about or what your group is passionate about so that we can support you in that. Other reasons to participate this year, education about community conditions. We'll cover a lot of what I talked about. We can cover that with your teams as well. Team building, which seems to be a common wish, trying to find ways to bring your team together in the virtual environment. Also leadership development for all of you and people on your campaign team. A lot of this is project coordination and execution, and it is a great development opportunity for all of you. Also, hopefully it's a ton of fun. That is most important. We want it to be fun, and we hope to support you in that. We realize it'll look a little different this year, but really excited to put it together and put something together that's really positive and uplifting for your team. So make sure I didn't yammer too long. We're good. So I will pass it off to Mike. Mike is going to talk about the role of the campaign leader traditionally, planning your campaign, and how we can support you in this. This is going to be focused on sections 3 and 4 of the workbook I sent out to all of you. So take it away, Mike.
Great, thank you, Mason. And as you can tell, there's so much that's been going on with United Way of Lane County, and I'm sure that you've all been experiencing the same thing within your organization and also personally, and just you folks being here right now, I'm breathing smoke indoors. I'm sure you are all breathing smoke indoors in your here. So this just brings me back to the power of giving and having that giving spirit. And you all being here reminds me of yesterday. We had a lady that knocked on the door, and of course I had my mask on, and I answered the door, and a lady came in and wrote us a check for the wildlife response initiative that we have going on right now. And I got to talking to her, and she's been in Lane County for 3 years. She bought a house up McKenzie River. She doesn't know if it's still standing because it is in the fire zone. Excuse me. And the house that she bought closes in a couple of weeks. So even with that going on in her life, and she's also looking for an apartment because if the house is burnt down, then she's got to find somewhere else to live. In the midst of all this chaos, and she works, she drove here to write us a check to help out to the people who have been affected by the wildfires. So that was so powerful to me. And that's a spirit of giving, and that's why we're all here today. It's just to help the folks in our community. I was really touched by it. So anyways, you have to excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. But if you look at the section 3 campaign planning, what I plan to do is I'm going to run through these items. I will touch on a few and make some comments a little more than others. And then I'm sure I will forget something. Mason or Alma or Christy will pick it up on the back end and figure out whatever else I may have missed. But if you look at section 3, campaign planning, first thing it says is before the campaign, and then parentheses, ideally 4 to 6 weeks before campaign kickoff. you should be doing all this. So the word of the day is grace, okay? Because planning 4 to 6 weeks ahead is you can't do it. You can't do it. So we're going to have just grace. We're going to be flexible, and we also ask that you have grace and you're flexible with us as well. I feel like I'm not able to give the customer experience as well as I would like to this year because everything just keeps happening. And so it's grace. So have some grace with us as well. And so anyways, let's see. Thank you, Mason, for doing that. It says, attend the employee campaign leader training. Well, you can check that one off your list because you're here today. And thanks again for doing that. Number 2 is meet with your CEO and top level leadership to ensure that you have proper support, confirm if leadership will have an active role in the campaign. Well, I also want to say, you know, when you talk to your general manager or your CEO, you know, ask for the campaign to be a priority. Talks about how this builds company culture and how people are really looking for a way to give back in their community. So I just think it's important that we know that this is a priority and we keep this a priority along with all the other priorities that are going on. Some of you folks have corporate gifts. Some of them have matching gifts. So make sure that when you talk to the CEO or your manager, reconfirm the matching gift or reconfirm the corporate gift and find out if that's still going to be happening this year. Determine your budget. So what's your budget going to be? Some of us have no budget. Some of us have a little bit of money to have incentives or to do something to run the campaign. So knowing what your resources and your tools are is very important in helping you to plan what you can do. Meet with your United Way of Lane County representative, your main point of contact with the United Way staff. So use us as a resource. Please reach out. Let us know what you need. Let us know if we need to brainstorm. Let us know what your obstacles are, what your challenges are, and we can work that together. Recruit and train your campaign team. Make sure everyone has a voice. Each department can have a different culture. Brainstorming sessions are valuable. Good to have each other to lean on. Ask your company if this can be considered a leadership role, or maybe you can get some brownie points on leadership training. But, you know, if you can have a couple of employee campaign leaders that are helping you, it's really good to have some help, especially if you have different departments. Because, again, each department can have its own work culture, and that's very important. Determine your goals. Again, you know, making sure that we have grace. What's going to be your goals this year? With some people, it might just be a participation goal. It might just be, gosh, you know, we just want people to be able to participate, even if they can't give as much. And then also the ones that can they give a little bit more? And, you know, maybe some of the goals is for your employees to do more volunteering or to become an advocate. We all are able to give in our own ways, and we want to make sure that that it means something when they're giving. Personalize your campaign. Company culture. You know your company culture, and you know your folks, and you know what the resources are better than anyone else. So when you think about your workplace campaign, feel free to think outside of the box. There's so much happening right now, and we are going to have some digital content, and Christy and Alma will get into that a little bit later on. But company culture is huge. What's important to them? Determine incentives. You know, plan something fun and engaging, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but incentives don't have to cost money. There are several ways that you can be creative and think about different ways that you can have incentives that's fun. Schedule your United Way presentation for employees. So think about how you're communicating with your employees right now. What is that form of communication? Because that's going to be your resource. That's going to be your tool. That's going to be how you're going to be communicating. Some folks are working from home. Some folks are working in the office with social distancing. There could be a hybrid of both. Also, when you think about scheduling United Way presentations, you know, peer-to-peer support, peer-to-peer advocacy. I've seen some of the best presentations be done by the employees of the organization. folks talking about why giving is important to them. I remember one year True Value Regional Distribution did a whiteboard where they took pictures and they did a video of a whiteboard where they gave it to different people within the organization, and they wrote on there why giving is important to them, why they give back to the community, why is it important to them. Everybody has their own personal reason. Everybody has their own story, but if you could get the leadership of the organization, if you could get, you know, the peer-to-peer advocacy, that the person that's working next to you to maybe do a presentation and talk about why this is important, that's really powerful. I've seen that be some of the best experiences ever. Determine how you will collect pledges. I'm going to leave that alone right now because I know Alma and Christy might be talking about that a little bit later on. Section 3, I'm whizzing through this because I have about 15 minutes on my part. Let's see, during the campaign, hold your campaign kickoff. So come up with a date and time. You know, when's your start date? When's your end date? Those are very important. Typically, 1 week, 2 weeks, that's really how you want to do it. You don't want to go too much longer than that because it'll start to lose the enthusiasm, it'll start to lose the legs. And knowing that you have a start date and an end date is, you know, is really good to do. And you know, I know folks are really excited to see me in the beginning, and then after 2 weeks, they're kind of happy to see me go. So, you know, you have other job responsibilities as well. We know that. We want to support you. We want this to be painless, fun, and meaningful to you in the organizations. Invite your CEO, executive management, to share why they support the campaign. Again, power of peer-to-peer support, having folks talk to their coworkers as to why it is they give and why it's important to them. It's very powerful. Host your speaker from United Way. I have it again, an employee talking about why they give is powerful. So I keep repeating it, but it really is powerful. We will be available. I will be available. Alma will be available. So will Mason. And we have folks within our organization that work in different areas, volunteerism, our impact work. We have folks who work directly with the grant, the volunteers who help decide where the money goes and who gets how much. And there's just lots of areas. And we do have partner agencies. So we can get folks to your doorstep. We can also do Zoom meetings. So if you're using WebEx or you're using Zoom, whatever it is, we could be a part of that all staff meeting. Make it easy. You don't have to come up with another special date. Maybe you have a staff meeting or a safety meeting. We can be a part of that, and we can do a presentation virtually. So there's a lot of ways that we can make this happen. Share instructions for how to give and the campaign timeline. So important that folks know the logistics of the campaign. So I have seen myself and other people get so caught up in the fun and the incentives and the presentations and the pledge forms and how we're going to make all this work. One thing that's really important, whether it comes out in a seat with in an email, or whether it comes out during the presentation on the back end with the employee campaign leader, which that is you, it's really important to let folks know, how is this going to work? What is the campaign? Here's how you're able to, a PDF pledge form. It's going to be an e-pledge. Here's how you're able to give. This is why we're giving. Here are the incentives. So just what does it look like, and just answer those logistics. And then also, who should be contacted with questions. So if an individual has a question, who do they ask those questions about? You know, if an individual has a question, if an employee has a question and you're not sure of the answer, give them to us. I mean, you can give them our phone number, you can give them our email. Let us help you answer questions. And you never know what questions might come your way. We want to make sure that everybody feels really comfortable about their gift, and we want them to know that they're valued, and we want to make sure that their questions are answered. So use us as a resource to make that happen. Let's see, check your progress regularly and send out reminders. You know, if you're going to run a 2-week campaign, you have the kickoff, you have the campaign, you're having some incentives, some spiffs, you're having fun, and then maybe the 3rd or 4th day, it can feel like it might wind down. You might just want to be able to send out another email reminder letting people know, hey, this is how much we've raised so far. This is what our participation has been. or maybe it's a new message from an employee who wants to speak up and say, hey, this is why I give. So just kind of refreshing the campaign as it goes through its process, and communicating is a really good idea. If you want to have photos, results, updates, your e-newsletters, your intranet, that's all a good way to make sure that you're communicating, and have fun. It's, we're breathing smoke. There's so much going on. I sure get it. Hopefully this could be a bright spot, and hopefully this could be part of your culture, and when you think about giving, letting the folks know the people that are being impacted. And then the little story like what I talked about, that lady that's going through so much, but she took time out of her day to come here to help other people. So I think those stories are really important. Let's see, is there any more? Yes. Thank everyone who participated for the difference they're making in the community. You can't thank people enough. I think thanking them for, hey, we've got 30% participation, or we have 50% participation. I also think doing a thank you and letting people know who won incentives. Again, incentives can be a raffle for a day off, a paid day off. It could be a raffle for a day off to volunteer. Whatever the incentives are, and whoever won some of those incentives, I think you celebrate that, and letting employees know how the organization did. I'm just kind of going down here. Encourage employees to sign up for United Way e-news. During this process, we don't like just coming out once a year and saying, here's what we're doing, help us support the work. The e-news comes out, I think it comes out monthly or every couple of months. Christy will probably get into that, but it's a really good reminder of the work that's being done on a year-round basis. So it lets people know, like, here's what's happening right now, and here's how we're helping folks, or here's what's happening right now, and here's how you can help folks. So it's a real simple one page. It kind of gives us a snapshot of what United Way is doing and what we've been up to on a year-round basis, and how they can get involved. So I'd really like everybody to ask the folks to definitely get connected with our e-news. That's really important. So I'm going down the line here. I'm at schedule a debrief with your United Way team. It would be great at the end. Mason's telling me I have 1 minute left, so I'll be quick. This will be the end. It's always a good idea at the end of your campaign to sit down with the person that you're working with, whoever your staff lead is, and have a debrief. Talk about what worked, what didn't work, and what we can look forward to next year. So a debrief is a good way to wrap things up. Thank you. I'm sure I missed a lot. I talk really fast. I was trying to get a lot of information in, and I will pass the baton back to Mason.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Yeah, just a couple things I want to tag on to the end is not all campaigns look alike. Some of your organizations are across the state or states. Some are just one office, or maybe some of your employees don't have access to email. They're not sitting in front of a computer all the time, and we can work through that with you as well. So yeah, very much look forward to working with you to customize something that works well for your team. So I want to move forward to someone who is currently in the middle of their campaign. Lindsay Cantlin with US Bank. I invited her because they are currently running their campaign, and what they've put together to engage their team virtually is really special. And they engage a whole team. There's a fair amount of planning that goes into play, and I just really thought that some of the information or some of what they're doing would apply to any team. And so thank you, Lindsay, for joining me.
Thanks, Mason. Thank you for your thoughts and kind words. Appreciate that for sure.
Absolutely. So you mentioned you've been with US Bank, you said 12 years, is that right?
That's correct. Yes, 12 years.
And this is your first year on the campaign team, but I'm sure as a person not on the team, you've experienced many a campaign.
Yes,
US
absolutely.
US Bank has been a partner for many, many years. And we very much appreciate the amount of time and effort that you put into making the campaign a positive experience for everyone. So I would love to hear a little bit about what your planning process looks like.
Sure, yeah. So I'll start with our planning committee, and our planning committee includes collaboration from our market leaders, of course, and I also serve as the president for an internal development and networking board. And so we brought in a couple other board members to the committee, and this was a huge benefit because it allowed us to leverage additional resources and communication efforts. So I was really excited about that, and we wanted to focus on not only having impact during the campaign period, but how can we leverage the impact and inspire giving back beyond the campaign, really. We've all said this, heard this, it's been a unique year. And so we wanted to make sure that we're connecting team members and incorporating fun throughout. With everything going on, everyone's in a unique situation during this time. So we wanted to give a wide platform of opportunities for people to give back, whether it's monetary, volunteering, acts of community good, just any way that they can help that uniquely is really how we wanted to focus it this year. And having fun has such a tremendous value. I think our market is huge in terms of how can we incorporate having fun in anything we do. And so getting to focus on that with all that's going on this year has been a really important element for us. And so one of the ways that we're having fun is we launched a volunteer bingo card with the campaign. And what's on that bingo card is a ton of volunteer opportunities, and team members can check off spaces if they go out to volunteer in the community, if they sign up, another example, if they sign up for those United Way e-news alerts, they can check off a space. If they do acts of community good, they go help their neighbor with groceries, or send cards to seniors, or maybe they get their kids involved in some sort of volunteer or help with somebody they know. So we wanted to broaden the range of opportunities to give back. And on the bingo card, we included every resource and link that team members would need to engage that opportunity. And then we're going to incorporate some prizes when they get bingos with that. And we're encouraging team members to post photos, share photos, success stories with their experiences through volunteering and giving back. And we're leveraging our internal and external social media sites. And we created 2 hashtags for the campaign that people can post and can add to their post, so that we can bring those all together and share them. We're going to be doing a virtual conclusion event. So I'll segue into a little bit of the connection perspective. We held a market-wide virtual, of course, kickoff event for the market. And the way we announced that is we used a video. So one of our team members from the planning committee recorded a video just to say hello to everybody and announce what we were going to be doing with the campaign, and that we were going to be kicking it off as a market team. And so we're really excited about that event. And one of the other ways that we announced that we're having fun is with some, and Mason loves this, but we're sharing a little market-to-market competition. And there's potentially some pies in the faces happening with our market leaders at the end of our campaign. And we, of course, got permission from each of our leaders, but we're really excited about it. And of course, I did a checkpoint yesterday, and our market's leading the way. So I'll just add that, Mason. But but we're excited about that fun element of it. And so with the virtual kickoff event, we heard from our market leaders. We also had Mason join the event with us and got an opportunity for our team members to hear what United Way is doing. So we're super thankful for Mason to join that. And then we wanted to keep it short, so we kept it short. We didn't go a lot into logistic details. We communicated the logistics more in an email fashion. But then we're going to be hosting our virtual conclusion event. And what we're going to do there is we're going to have some videos of team members from our entire market and what volunteering means to them. And I'm going to collaborate those videos together and share it as part of the kickoff to our conclusion event. So I'm really excited about that piece. And we're going to give away prizes for the bingo and share photos and really just how our team members connected. And of course, our participation results, we'll share that during our event. But it's really exciting to see people engaging and connecting, and especially with what has happened last week with the wildfires, people are stepping up even more to volunteer with some of the opportunities there. So it's been really fun so far.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And yes, you are absolutely right. Who does not love a pie in the face, especially when it is not you?
All right.
Yeah, and the inter-district English, wow, the competition between districts is, I think, especially important. I know a lot of you within your organizations have done like interdepartmental contests for participation or for book drive or the change war, or that's a very important and fun driver in workplace campaigns.
Yeah.
What would you say, like, how does leadership support your campaign? Like, how do you think leadership affects your campaign and its success?
Yeah, effective leadership really sets the tone. And we found that team members are more engaged when they feel supported and encouraged by their leaders.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, everything that you shared is just awesome and so innovative. Like the hashtags, to be honest, aren't really a thing I thought about. It's a great idea. Using your internal communications heavily. The bingo card that you put together is crazy. And the cool thing about the bingo card is that not only does it have tasks for you to complete, but there are links at the bottom for their team members to go find those resources. So
Yep.
Just really engaging. Your campaign also runs a month. So although Mike was saying a lot of campaigns run about a couple weeks, yours is a perfect example of how you can keep the fun going all month long. So really appreciate you sharing all of that. Does anyone have any questions for Lindsay before we move on? Okay.
One last thing I'll share, Mason. A goal for us this year, I think, is really to focus on continuing the legacy throughout the year. And I mentioned this at the beginning, beyond the campaign. But what I mean by that is to continue sharing the photos and the success stories of volunteering and giving back in the community throughout the year. And we believe that will add so much value when we're looking at next year's campaign. Can we create a collaboration of photos throughout the year that then you can transition in your kickoff event for the following year that inspires people to look back. And so that's something that is a big goal for us this year.
Perfect. Yeah, and also you mentioned the goal of trying to inspire people even outside the campaign. So, which we'll touch on a little bit at the end. But yeah, and Mike also mentioned this, we very much want to build a relationship with your team and be that resource both in and out of the campaign. I see Erica asked a question of what types of incentives did you offer your employees for your campaign?
So our employees can be entered in for prizes throughout the campaign for volunteering. And so some of our prizes are more internal spending dollars, if you will, and then other prizes that we're going to incorporate with our virtual conclusion event will be gift cards or nominal things like that for the bingos.
Perfect. Oh, and the bingo card, is that available for external use? Can that be shared?
Yeah, I can share that with you, Mason. I'll just send that out after the event, just so I can make sure that there isn't anything on there that wouldn't be able to be shared. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Perfect. And once I get it, after it's been redacted, I'll make sure to share it with all of you. So thank you. Thank you very much for sharing all of that.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, very excited to see how the campaign concludes too. So I'm going to kick it off to Alma. Alma is our resource development wizard when it comes to electronic pledges, and will be a very, very important tool for the virtual campaign in terms of sharing communications, and then of course recording pledges in lieu of using the paper cards. So take it away, Alma.
Thanks, Mason. Try to keep the expectation low. So wizard is a very high honor. So thank you for that. But I would say, like, really quick, if everyone wants to get up and shake and move around and stuff, but I am wearing yoga pants and my dog is asleep on my foot. So, you know, the work from home situation right now is a little funky. But I do want to be thoughtful. If anyone needs to take a bio break, should we do a quick bio break, or are we good to just keep pushing through and see where we're at? Just wanted to check. Is there a thumbs up for a bio break, or are we're okay?
Where's everyone at? We need 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. If you need to pop out, just mute it, obviously, and we'll be good. Yeah, thank you all for being here again. And I do want to talk about our going paperless. I think in general, that's a good direction for us to go, just so that we can keep things more accessible. Let's see. Sorry, I wasn't sure if Carl was saying it'd be good for a break or good for the generic version of the thing. We're good. Trying to monitor the chat as well as talk. So we're working on going paperless with everyone. And we have some of you have already experienced our ePledge, electronic pledging system. The other thing that we did, as Mike and Mason had both mentioned, some of us have people that don't have access to their work email, they don't have access to a computer, or they might be out in the field working in different capacities. So we also have a fillable PDF. So your team can fill the form out, and then just do a digital signature by signing, and email that, either save it and email it back to your team, your ECL, or email it to us directly. And thank you, Christy's gonna pull this up. So this is our regular pledge card, and we have some instructions at the top where it has where you can email the PDF to. And we really encourage you to, this is why the communication that you have with your team is going to be extremely important. If you'd prefer to collect the digital copies of these, or have people print the pledge card out and fill it out for those who are out in the field and unable to fill this out digitally, or email it to you, however you want to collect the pledge cards, please make sure that communication is really strong. We also have on here, encourage people can go online and give as well. And so anyway, just being able to utilize whatever the communication channel and the instructions that you as an organization need, please let the team know what's best for you, and we'll help with all that, the processing. But all the areas on this card, if people can just go through and fill out, and then they can save the PDF. And I would just say maybe have them save it with their last name in it, and save it as with their last name, however is going to be best for your team. And you can collect all those fillable PDFs and email them to your account manager, or you can utilize what we call our electronic pledging. And there are a couple ways you can do this. And the preferable way for us is to collect a list of your employees with your unique employee number, their first and last name, potentially middle initial, because there are many John, Smiths and Sue's and everything like that. So we have a template for you. So employee name, employee number, first and last name, and an email address. The benefit of this using the email address is everyone will get a unique login to be able to, they'll get an email that comes from United Way. And when they click into that email, they'll be directed to a landing page that has a message from your organization. This is a unique message from your organization. So it can be branded in terms of the messaging and customized for you. And what we encourage is to have a message from your CEO or maybe yourself, somebody that's really trusted in the organization, to kick off why we're writing a campaign and what we're doing. Very similar to what you would do in general when you would talk to your staff and your team about the partnership between United Way and your organization. From there, the process is very similar to a paper pledge card. They just click through, and they don't even have to put their name or any other information because it's already set up. They just go and they make their, they determine how they want to give and how they want to participate. The benefit of this as well is that you're able to click through, and if an employee says, like, I don't want to give at this time, then they're off the list and they're fine. If they give, then they all go, they do not get solicited again. When we send out reminder emails, they will only go to the employees who haven't given or haven't selected to opt out of the campaign. So that means that actually really helps your team a lot. So you don't have to run around and ask people. And it also gives you an opportunity for your staff to feel, it can be uncomfortable. If you feel like you have to give a pledge card to someone, you're like, oh, somebody's seeing, it becomes a thing for, different organizations and different cultures in the organization. This just gives you the opportunity to let them really have full control of the direction they want to go with their giving. And so we handle all the reporting on our side, and there's also a benefit of you having an admin person. So I would say, I highly suggest the employee campaign leader be your admin person for your account. And what that does is you can go on the back end and see the progress that your campaign is making. So what we do is we take all of your employees and we put them into our system. So say there's 10 employees, you can follow what percentage of people have given, what percentage of people have opted not to give. And so you can give those reports back to your team when you're talking about the campaign progress that you're making. And so I think that it's a lot easier than having to go through and count all the pledge cards and cross-reference and see, did somebody double up? This makes it so you don't have to worry about any of that. All the reporting is on our side, and you just set it and forget it and make it really easy. And then this also allows you, again, to be able to distribute all the communications digitally. So you can send emails that are focused on the fun part, so you can still keep your work being all focused on the fun and engaging activities. And we are doing the payroll and the giving part on the back end. So you're not having to worry about any of that. We also are we're also a central processor for the area. What that means is if you have if you have a footprint outside of Lane County, we can work with that other United Way to be able to help process your campaign. And some of you already have that, like US Bank has it done a little bit differently through a different portal, but we can be that processor for you to make your life easier so that your payroll department will be, to be honest, we're trying to make your life easier so you can go to your payroll department and say, hey, we're just making it so you just have to send one check to one organization, not 5 checks to 5 different United Ways. This is really a way to make it be easier for your team. So yeah, so basically getting the most important thing for ePledge, putting that in place for you folks, is making sure, first of all, your payroll department agrees to this, because some payroll departments are very picky and they want to see a signed pledge form. So I have made that mistake before where the ECL and I were extremely excited and we put ePledge in place and then we sent an Excel sheet and payroll said, what is this? So making sure your payroll department is on board. And then also checking to see if you can do a one-time payroll deduction that can be processed from the first check in January. So sometimes employees want to do a one-time gift. They don't want to do a payroll deduction every pay period. They just want to make one gift. We just want to check with your payroll department to make sure that we can take that first gift out of the January paycheck. Our ePledge system can also do cash and checks and credit cards and everything. So there's a lot of other ways for people to give, but in terms of, I'm just thinking about beyond your team, your payroll department, making sure those pieces are in line. We have a little ePledge setup form that I can make sure you all get that just gives you, it walks down all these steps. So you don't have to take notes right now. We'll put it all together. I want to check on Carla's question here really quick. So if you do ePledge, so if you do ePledge and we're able to set you up on the back end, I believe when an employee logs in, they will be able to see what their gift last year was. And what happens is as your team gets connected to the ePledge system, you can see your campaign giving history. And there are a couple modules that we are putting in place for that. So I want to make sure that module is on for this campaign. It might not be on until 2021, but we'll make sure that we can communicate with your team about what their previous year's giving was. So we'll make sure that that is, because I know you used to print it on the pledge cards. We'll make sure that that's set up so that your team can, your employees can see where they were at in their giving from the year before. The other important piece for this is because your team will receive an email from give@unitedwaylane.org. We want to make sure that that email address is whitelisted and the firewalls are not being blocked. So that way, you know, if as many of you know, in the industries that you work in, if you get a whole bunch of emails from one email address, your computer's like, say, oh my gosh, what is happening? We're getting hacked. So we want to make sure we also are buying cookies and taking really good care of your IT department so that they know what the partnership that we're working on for the ePledge system. And we will have all that information in this checklist. We also have the, we ask that you remove the firewall restrictions and whitelist our IP address as well. Again, just so that we have all those pieces in place and everybody knows the computers are all happy talking to each other. That makes it a lot easier for everyone. And again, we'll get you a list of the Excel sheet template that we hope to have the employee information together in so that you can send that to your payroll department and they could drop all that information in. It comes directly to us. The only thing that we are using this list for is to send out the email to ask people to give. In the ePledge, it gives them the opportunity to also opt into our e-newsletter. So if you're doing like a raffle or you're doing some sort of other incentive for people to participate, we can get you that information to say who all has opted into the newsletter or want to get more information. We can get you a report back with all the information that you need out of the ePledge process. And for this, so again, the thing that makes it nice is we want to know your campaign start and end date, when you want the kickoff email to go out. So some people might want the kickoff email to go when the campaign starts. Some people might want the kickoff email to happen if you have a presentation in line with that presentation. We can set that up as close to the time as possible. So the email can go out like on Monday, the 27th at 9 a.m. And so the emails will start going out to your team. And then we can send a reminder email like a week later, depending on how long your campaign is. We can do as many email reminders as you want that will only go to people who have not opted in or have not selected 0. We recommend, you know, maybe 1 a week. We want to be thoughtful about that. But again, you know your team's culture more than anyone else. So we can work with you on that process. And yeah, and we get a report at the end. So we'll need to know who in your organization needs a report. We can send you 2 reports at the end. One is the full list of everyone who's participated and given. And that includes payroll deductions, credit cards, checks, cash, all of that. And then the other is just a list of your payroll giving, because that's all your payroll department needs. They want to just have those 2 different lists. So we can give that to you however you need it to be able to get it to the team on the back end. And let's see, we also have a couple of templates for you for that, the email that goes out to staff. So that's a lot of information. I just kind of fire hose dumped it at you. I would love to answer questions and jump into any other nuts and bolts. Basically, this is just taking the paper form and putting it in an email. I mean, we're really super excited about it. And to be honest, a lot of other people are like, we've been doing this for years. And we're just like, yay, this is now available for everybody. So this just makes it a lot easier. You don't have to run around and give people forms and make sure you have the right one. And we don't have to print a bunch of paper. So there's a lot of really great things with ePledge. And again, we still have the ability to fill out the PDF form or print out the PDF form for those who still want a hard copy pledge form. We're absolutely fine with still providing that. We'll just ask that you scan it in and email it to us, or again, drop it off if that's easier. So we're basically just trying to make things as accessible as possible for everyone's needs.
Great. Thank you, Alma, for sharing about ePledge, and thank you, Angela. You mentioned that you have to jump off, so thank you for joining us. Mike, I'm sure you'll be following up with her during the campaign. One thing I just want to highlight, because Carla asked about it, was the copies of the electronic pledge forms. You can pull reports. We can send you reports. Very, very easy. A lot easier than flipping through the paper. And another thing about the paper forms, if you do want to go that route, please just let us know as soon as possible, because some of us have been banished from the office And so, and we don't have our traditional loaned executive support this year, just due to the totality of circumstances that we're in. So as much notice as we can have as possible would be great. Mike is currently in the office, and if he has to print anything on the pledge cards, we're going to be on a Zoom conference for a little bit. So love you, man. So I'm moving right along. So Christy was going to talk a little bit about the materials we have available to you for your campaign. She's also the one who opted to start sharing the screen because she is a legend. So I will kick it off to Christy.
Thanks, Mason. So I'm just going to share my screen again and just show you all, like, how do you actually access some of the materials you might need for a campaign. So give me just a second. And let's see. So this is our homepage. And if you haven't visited it recently, yeah, there's a pop-up letting folks know wildfire response is really top of mind for us at this moment. So, you know, this is what you see when you come to our website. If any of you are curious or wondering, we do have buttons at the top of our website right now, both for wildfire response as well as our general fund. But what I want to show you is how you can access and where you can come continually throughout your campaign and throughout the year of where you can find the resources. So on our drop-down menu under Find Resources, there is for Workplace Campaign Partners, that is you. And so when you select that, we have included a number of the materials that we have so far for this year. So we're in the 2020-2021 campaign at present. And the update that I'll give you is that even with COVID and trying to be nimble and respond to the new needs, and also how do we convert our campaign to be virtual, we're still working on getting all of the materials set up. So what we have a fair number of things right now. I think one of the biggest things folks look for is our campaign video. That is still coming. I think, yeah, we're in process of getting that set up, and truthfully, I'm grateful it's not finalized yet, because even just with what's happened in the last week, feels pretty important to include in our overall campaign messaging. And the roles that United Way has stepped into and been asked to play in the community is very significant. So we will have a campaign video coming in late October. And I'll say with that too, the hope is that there will be two. One is kind of an overview of like, where is our community at present, and what is the role that United Way and also like your employees, our neighbors, are able to play in helping change the realities for our neighbors and our communities. And then additionally, this is a bit different. I'm hoping that there's going to be a secondary video as well that you can, you know, choose to show if you'd like, that is more about our agency partners. So like, what are the stories that they're experiencing, and what does the impact of United Way play for them? I think this year, given the sensitivity of where organizations, individuals, and our nonprofit partners are at, we're trying not to ask too many of the nonprofits to come out in person or even virtually to some of the presentations. We have actually some really wonderful video testimonials from them already about what your support means for them. So our hope is that we will have a secondary video really about our partners telling their stories, both from the Live United Fund as well as what the COVID response funds, the Reimagine funds, and now the wildfire funds have made possible. So video coming soon, but let's just, I think this opens in a new window. So we do have a campaign flyer, and it's abbreviated and a little bit shorter than last year's. Are you seeing the new tab on my screen? Great, thanks. So this is, you know, really the kind of additional theme to our work this year is not just ensuring kids' success, but really also working to build just and resilient communities, as Mason referenced, there's so many more barriers to kids reaching success at this point. And so we're really specifically doubling down on family health and stability, our first outcome, because, you know, we can't work too far upstream if we have significantly more folks unhoused, not able to keep food on the table, etc. So this is just a one-page double-sided document. You're welcome to share out, to print if that's helpful, but essentially just as kind of the overall messaging and theme for what we want to invite people into this year. There's a couple of statistics about what has been raised just since COVID started. What are some of the programs that have been supported by these COVID response and reimagine dollars, the number of volunteers we've mobilized, etc. So I think the important piece here is, you know, a lot of this, as Mason again mentioned, is outside of the Live United Fund, but so much of the kind of additional or the programmatic support that is part of the Live United Fund is what helps make all this pivoting and this standing up of funds and new volunteer systems possible. So really, you know, we talked so much about how your dollars are invested in these, you know, 24 specific programs and initiatives last year. That is still the case, and that small percentage of your funds that help for our mission critical work is really what makes all of these statistics, these dollars, these investments possible. So on the back page, we have provided kind of, you know, like I said, those 21 this year programs that are still receiving funds through our Live United Fund. And these are, you know, our more strategic long-term investments. But just to show the breadth of organizations that we've also been supporting, this is the additional about $817,000 that has gone out in short-term grants through, you know, the Respond Fund, the Reimagine Fund, and the Summer Food Dollars. So just to share with the community, you know, raising up and sharing some of the many organizations doing work and supporting folks in our community that need support. So this is on the website as one of the resources. Yeah, so the Employee Campaign Leader Workbook, which we were reviewing today, is here if you ever need that. We'll get that fillable pledge card posted up on this website shortly. We also still have our map from last year's campaign. If you might have seen that, that is listed here. We also have some specific kind of call outs to impact areas in specific parts of our community. So if you have footprint in Florence and Mapleton or a base there, this is some more specific information. I will say this is not including anything related to our COVID grants or our wildfire work. This is all prior to those investments, but at least if you're wanting to see what specifically are some of the programs, initiatives, and efforts in specific parts of Lane County, those PDFs are available here. One other piece that we're excited to share this year too is similar to Lindsay's example of the bingo card, which I'm in awe of and just love that idea. So major props, Lindsay, to you and your team. That sounds so fun. We've also come up with two other kind of, we're calling them off the shelf, like mostly kind of ready for you to take to your team if they seem like something that would be helpful. And so I'll just, once I finalize these documents, we'll get them posted here. But one is a trivia, like for United Way and for your company. So Mason pulled together some sample trivia questions that you could ask of your team. You can add in pieces about your own company. Ideally, the information that's part of the trivia is all either available on United Way's website or your own, or, you know, wherever staff may be referring to information about your company. So if you wanted to host, you know, like a 4 o'clock on a Thursday trivia with your team, this would be sample questions and also some instructions for you to facilitate this type of activity. And the other is kind of similar to bingo, but just a different format. It is like a pay it forward campaign. So a way to encourage appreciation and gratitude and affirmation of employees, and not just, you know, from leadership to folks doing work on the ground, but among colleagues themselves. So it's an opportunity to encourage participation both in the campaign, but also acknowledge, you know, kind of small acts of kindness and paying forward appreciation as just part of a way to acknowledge people, especially just given the heaviness of our times, and wanting to invite people in and feel supported. So we'll post both of those as well shortly. We have left last year's resources available. So in the meantime, when we don't have a video for this year, if you want to still share last year's campaign video, you're welcome to do that. Last year's campaign flyer is still relevant. It's all of our 4 outcomes and the work that we're trying to do. So you're welcome to use this as well. These What Your Dollar Buys are a bit out of date at this point. And one thing I just want to say, I know this is a common question among employees and folks, is finding out like what exactly does $1 provide. And this year, I think especially, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see folks again. We're really wanting to help convey that when we give those What Your Dollar Buys numbers, that doesn't include the volunteer mobilization. It doesn't include our work of convening partners, bringing them to the table and saying, okay, we're all wanting to respond to wildfire response. Like, how do we coordinate? Who's doing what? How can we support each other? So I just want to point out, particularly for you all as folks who will get questions, I know that has been helpful to people in the past, but really this year we're trying to share more like the transformational impact of giving to United Way, not just that transactional, because when we share, you know, $1 does this, it doesn't convey so much else of what United Way is doing that we can't really put a dollar to. So just wanted to point that out. So that will continue to be updated with more resources that you can pull from. But please, as everyone has said, stay in touch with your United Way representative for any other materials you might need. And also keep sharing your ideas with us. Like I said, Lindsay, that a bingo card is just such a fabulous idea, and would love to hear how you're making things work. And I want to follow your hashtag to see what y'all are posting. So really, really love those ideas. So I think that's all that I had. Any specific questions about materials before we get to kind of wrap up and final questions? Great, I'll pass it back to you, Mason.
Thank you for sharing, Christy. All of the special event ideas that Christy touched on and more are on page 9 of your campaign leader workbook. We also have scoured the world of the internet for other fun ideas and have absolutely no problem brainstorming new ideas with you. Also, yes, please, if you come up with ideas of your own, please share them. We love to use them as examples for other partners. So the last page of your workbook is just a couple template letters that you can use. Nothing too crazy, but especially if you're going the electronic route for your campaign, there are just a couple template letters you can use for endorsing the campaign, why it's important, and then also a thank you letter that you can use. But it's very much, yeah, customize as you see fit. Thank you for sharing that. And that wraps up the book. The last item that I wanted to talk about is how we can engage outside of the campaign, both in and out of the campaign. Like we've mentioned, we love building relationships. We want people to feel like we're a resource year round. So a few of the ways that we can do that is, one is through Days of Caring. So Days of Caring is September 24th through 26th. We have a ton of volunteer opportunities from nonprofits across Lane County. Some of them are on site or outdoor, indoor, also some virtual opportunities. So Lindsay, I know you asked about some other volunteer opportunities. I'm working on those, and Carla, still following up with you on the opportunities you've asked about. So love to work with your team on that during Days of Caring, but our volunteer website, people are posting opportunities year round. So at any time of the year, if you're looking for opportunities, please check out our volunteer site. You can get to it through our regular website, unitedwaylane.org. Other opportunities are our affinity groups. Emerging Leaders is for young professionals 40 and under, giving $120 a year or more. So it shakes out to about $10 a month. But with that, they get access to professional development, networking, and volunteer opportunities, and a really awesome cohort of people from across Lane County. We also have Retire United. So for those that are retired or thinking about it, I don't actually know that there's an age limit on that group. So I know I want to retire soon, so maybe I'll check out that group myself. Other opportunities like grant reviewing. So all of the funds that we raise and all of the funds that we distribute is run by volunteer power. So we review applications, the board approves them, and the funds get out. And we've been doing that at breakneck speed the last few months to get funds out as fast as humanly possible, but it also applies to our traditional programmatic support. And you can be a part of that too. So if anyone on your team is interested in seeing what that process looks like, please reach out to us. Other events are, well, we'll see what the year has in store for us. Things like Look Fest, which I know some of you have been huge advocates of, especially Haas Group, very much appreciate that. And dental kit assembly is normally in January. We'll see where things go. I think we're all playing things by ear right now. But also the lunch and learns. So we always talk about presentations during the campaign. We have absolutely no problem talking to your teams outside of the campaign, and I think can also really just kind of build that foundation so people know that we're here. And you know, we just come in and talk about what's going on, what's United Way been up to since we last saw you. And it doesn't have to be about giving or whatever the campaign might be focused on. So please feel free to take us up on that. Love to just talk to people and answer questions and get them connected. And that's about it. That's everything I had. And you know, in the in-person world, there's a lot of question asking about other people's campaigns and stuff. And I know that's a little bit more difficult in the virtual world, but I want to make sure that everyone, gets to ask the questions they want about other people. Any thoughts that you have about your own campaign? Is there anything that we can, unpack with you before we call it a day? Nothing. All right. Mike, Alma, and I are your campaign extraordinaires, and really do want to support you during the planning and execution of your campaign. Christy, being in our marketing department, thank you very much for all the materials you put together for us. I know all of our partners appreciate it as well. And I want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you for being here for the training. I'm going to send out a survey after maybe Lindsay and I can touch bases about the bingo card, and I'll try and get all of that out to you as soon as I can. Lindsay, thank you for being a panelist today. And everyone have a super day. Stay healthy and safe. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.